Hello everyone and welcome back to this channel. So in today's video I'll be showing you how to make a straight pencil skirt. So my fabric here is on fold. I folded it by my hip measurements divided by 4 plus my seam allowance. So I'll be rolling out this top area and to serve as the starting point for the skirt. So this skirt is going to have a band. So for the band I'll be using 1.5 inches. So I'll be placing my tape rule on 1 inch. The remaining half inches is for joining the band to the skirt. So placing my tape rule on 1 inch, I'm just going to go ahead and mark out the length of the skirt. So just mark out wherever you want your skirt length to stop and rule that part out like so. So this skirt will be like a 3/4 skirt, and this is the length I'll be working with. So I'll just go ahead and cut out this front area like so. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it, and when I'm done cutting, I'll use the front to cut for the back. So I also went ahead to fold for my back, and the only difference from the front and the back is the zipper allowance. So I'll be working with a zipper allowance of about 1.5 inches. So I'm just placing my front fabric to the back, leaving out the zipper allowance. So still maintaining that 1 inch you took out for the band. I'll go ahead and mark out my hip line. That is your waist to your hip, and that is the measurement we'll be needing for making a skirt. So after getting that line, I'll go over to my waistline and divide my waist by 4. So my waist divided by 4, I'll add my 1 inch for that allowance and 1 inch for seam allowance. So on my hip line also, I'll divide my hip measurements by 4. I'll mark that, and also my seam allowance of 1 inch. Then whatever I have on my hip line, I'll be taking out 1 inch from it and marking it on my hemline. So whatever you have on your hip line, minus 1 inch to get that pencil effect on the hemline. So I'll just go ahead and make a curve rule from my waistline to my hip line like so. Then from the hip line to the hemline, I'll use a straight rule to connect those lines. So once I was done connecting, I'll go ahead and cut this part out. I'll also go ahead and make a notch on my dart line. That is your nipple to nipple measurement plus half an inch. So I'll just make a notch so I'll know where my dart is going to start from. So I'll go ahead and place the front aside and open up my back pattern. So this back side, I'm just going to open it up because it is going to be 2 pieces. So I also went ahead to cut out a lining for this fabric. The lining was 1 inch shorter on the down part. So next, I'll go ahead and hold the dart for the front. I'll hold both darts for the front and also for the back. I'm just going to show you guys how I'm going to go ahead and sew this. So I'll open up the lining. I'll also take the darts for the lining also. Now I'll place it like so, right side facing right side. And I also ironed a paper stay to my lining. So on this hem part, I'm using my pins to illustrate how I'm going to sew it. So I'm just going to sew about 1/4 inch on this hem part. Then I'll also go ahead and drag it up like so. We left 1 inch for hemming allowance. So I'm just going to drag it up like so. Just measure your 1 inch from that hemming, then drag your lining up, then sew on both sides. So I also do same for the back pattern. So guys, after sewing, this is what I have. This is the back pattern before I turned it inside out. This is what it looks like on the wrong side. I went ahead to sew the sides and also the hem part. And after turning it inside out, this is what I have on the front part also. So I'll go ahead and fix the band. So I went ahead to cut out the band for it. The length is the length of my waist here plus 1 inch. Then the width, I have 2 inches unfold. So when I unfold it, I have about 4 inches. I also went ahead to iron a paper stay to my band. So remember I said I'll be needing 1.5 inches for the band length. So by the time I sew half an inch on this part, I'll have 1.5 inch remaining. So I'll just show you how to fix this band to the skirt. So I'll go ahead like so, open it up like so. Then on one part, I'll be leaving half an inch on this part. Then I'll go ahead and sew this other part. So I'm just using my pins to illustrate it so you know how to sew it on the sewing machine. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin down this one part of the band to the skirt like so. So when I was done pinning down that part, you go ahead and sew it, and this is what it looks like at the front part. So I'll go ahead and fold it over like so, right side facing right side. Now pin this part also. So you go ahead and sew it, then you turn it inside out, just like this. So after turning it inside out, you have something like this. And on this back part, you go ahead and fold in the seams, then use your extra half an inch and fold it on this back part also. So just watch how I did it. I just went ahead to fold about half an inch that we'll have on this other part of the band. Then we'll be hiding these seams, making sure it's going in. So we just go ahead and sew it like so. So I'm using my pins to illustrate how you're going to sew it on your sewing machine. So while sewing, make sure your stitch goes in between the band like so. It goes in between the band and the skirt. So I'll repeat the same thing for the back part of the skirt. I also have my band here, so I'll repeat the same thing for it. So guys, after attaching the band, this is what I have on the right side and the wrong side. Next, I'll go ahead and mark out my body measurement on the skirt. So I'm just going to divide my waist measurement by 2. So I'll impute it on the waistline. So I'll go ahead and mark out my hip line also. Then I'll divide my hip measurement by 2. What I have there, I'll also impute it here. Then, we took out 1 inch from the hip to get the hem. And since it is no longer folded by 4, we'll be taking out 2 inches to get the hem point. So from the hip line, whatever you have on the hip line divided by 2, you also minus 2 inches to get the hem. So I hope you guys understand it. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect those lines I made like so. Alright, next I'll go ahead and join my zipper allowance for the back part. So placing it right side facing right side, I'm just going to mark out my zipper allowance for the back. So go ahead and mark out whatever zipper allowance you left like so. Then on the down part, I left about 6 inches for my slit. Then on the upper part also, I'll leave about 7 inches and it will fit my zipper. So I'll go ahead and make a straight stitch. After sewing, this is what I have, and I have my zipper area open and also my slit area open. So next we'll be placing the front bodies to the back bodies like so, right side facing right side, and we'll go ahead and sew on this marked area we already made on both sides. I'll also go ahead and fix my zipper, and that will be all for making a pencil skirt.